Welcome, Supreme Commanders. How you all doing out there? Hope you're doing very well. This finds you well on a Thursday afternoon, at least at time I'm recording this. Got a cracking game for you today. Going down in the last 24 hours, actually more like the last 12. It's a 6 versus 6, and the teams North versus South slightly favour the North team. To make it even more of an uphill battle for the team down south, not only are they behind, but the North team also features a pro player at 2200, and all the others are 1500 rated or below. And so they really got their work cut out for them. And I know there's going to be some people saying, while I get the game setup started, well, clearly the Southern team win, because otherwise, why would he be bigging up a game like this with the pro and the North team? Clearly the stats favour the North team, and so the South team's gonna win. Otherwise, what would be the point in making a video? He's giving the answer away. There's going to be some people then saying, but hang on, why would he be drawing attention to the fact that maybe he's suggesting the Southern team are going to win? Maybe that means that the Northern team are going to win. And then there's going to be some really clever folk amongst you that say, hang on, he's tried the bluff, he's tried the double bluff. My money's on the triple bluff. Well, you're going to have to stay tuned to find out, see just how sneaky I've been. And with all of that said and done, please no spoilers in the comment section, guys. And those of you that wind on to the end just to see who wins, you know, well, there's nothing I can do about them, aren't they? There's always going to be some. All right, let's fade in the game sounds. There we go. Looks like it's autumn on whichever planet that we're on. And we'll unpause. And we'll introduce our players. For some reason, when you unpause, that menu always reappears. ATP3 says, good luck, have fun. The first player in the game to say such a thing. And I think with that, we shall reward him. And we'll introduce him first. We will slow time down just a tad, seeing as there are 12 players on this one. And so ATP, there you are. The 1200 rated Aeon there for Team 2, the team down south. The team that's today masquerading as yellow, the team that's behind, the team that's got no players, the team that's got everything going against it. Enough of that anyways. Yeah, there we go. ATP, Aeon player, 1200 rated, going first land. And we'll just quickly cover these two players that are next to him before I forget them. Down south here is Zapod, 1200 rated, going as UEF, also first land. In the back there as green. And then last but not least, over in the western corner, for Team 2 in yellow is Claude Le Lézard. I think we'll just call this guy Claude in yellow there. Going Cybran first land, 1500 rated. And so the joint highest rated player for his team. Moving out over to the east, then we've got this big divide. And then these guys also featuring on the Southern Team 2. In the forward position there is Moresco and Seraphim, 1100 rated as Electric Blue there. Going first land with his commander. We'll move back just a little bit on the little island to the south there. Almost like a little island, but just got this tiny little causeway that prevents it from being so. Perhaps when the tide's high, it disappears. Either way, it's Lox. Well, I think I'm going to call this guy Loxpo. Apologies, but Loxpo, it just rolls off nice. Don't want to be saying poo all the time. I think we'll go with Loxpo there. He's no doubt going to say, well, that's because it is. Either way, 1500 rated. Aeon, the other joint highest rated on his team there in Sky Blue, going going first land at 1500. And then last but not least for his team is Dulartha. I think we'll go with that one. 1300 rated as Cybran in grey, going first land. Hello, Dulartha. I've made not too much of a pig's ear of your name. But, you know, I'm never good at that. Coming over to the north side. Unless, of course, it's a German name. Apparently, some people were not too displeased. That's a terrible way of saying it. We're quite impressed with the way that yours truly was able to get Kotzbrocken out there. And then somebody, even Korkusnus, saying, yeah, he didn't do too bad. And then somebody else says, yeah, try Korkusnus. That's a bit of a tongue twister. So there you go. Die Korkusnus. Some people saying, hang on. I thought this was Forged Alliance, not a German lesson. Indeed it is. And so first player over here in the northeastern corner for Team 1 is Hannibal. We've featured this guy numerous times in the last couple of months. We'll refer to him once more as Hannibal. In pink, he's 1400. Going first land there as UEF and trending down south in the drink. Over to his east there lowest rated player in the game at just 500 rating points is Jallo Kim. He's also going UEF in the lighter green there, going first and second land. And with him being UEF, well, despite only having 500 rating points, there's hope yet for his team. And then here we go, up north in the extreme northern corner is Build More Sams. I think we'll just call him BMS from here on in. The 2200 rated, the only pro in the game, also knows what faction's good for him, going UEF there, first landing Corky Green. Incidentally, guys, something else, 2 of the players on the northern team electing to go random faction, 4 of the players down south. And so it doesn't matter where you look, the ballsiness to even play this game favours Team 2 down there. All right, and then last but not least, as we finally get on to our final 3 players here for Team 1, in the western corner, in Ferrari Red, is Maxis FX. I think we'll just go Maxis there. As Cybran, the 1100 rated, going first land and has second air queued up. Further to his north in Burgundy Red, Aeon is Babel, a 1200 rated there, going first land, second air. Babel still in his main base. And then last but not least, for his team and for the game overall, in white, and he always likes to go white, does Fong, is 1500 rated. Aeon, where is Fong? Come on, where is he? There he is. He's already playing Mr. Submersible down there. Unfortunately, you can't get the camera to zoom in at the bottom of the ocean. If I move my mouse point over, you can see just how deep that ocean is there. And Fong just testing how watertight his Aeon Commander suit is. Either way, first land, second Navy. And with that, we've introduced all our players. Fong, of course, 1500. And I've heard many good things said about him in the comments sections over the time that I've run this channel. And so it's fantastic to have a player like Fong be part of the community. Apparently always friendly and welcoming to new players and existing alike. And perhaps that's no more demonstrated than by his team. He's got a 500 and a 2200. With that, let's go full base. Just turn the music down just a tad. There we go. As this game starts to unfold, it is on a 20 by 20 map. Because of the number of players, the scoreboard gets pushed down. I've tried to move the mini map into as best as the place as I can, that hopefully doesn't cover up too much of the action while not covering up too many of the scores. We've got the text down here. Somebody's saying the text was a little hard to read last time. I've tried to brighten it up a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't detract too much from the action underneath. It features, of course, player chat as well as any significant events like experimentals or when players are upgrading to Tech 2 and so forth and so on. All right, and so with that said and done, yeah, 20 by 20 map, and you know yours truly. Trying to get all fancy with this, let's have a little look at the ruler so we can see, despite being a 20 by 20 map, this black border, of course, means it's not exactly a 20 by 20 map. And so if we put the ruler on there, I'm going to try measuring just how big we've got. We'll just hide the scoreboard just a sec while we wait for the action to unfold a little bit. And there we go, that's close enough, right around there. And so we, oh, and then I go and move the mouse. Yeah, so there we see, so it's a 20 by 20. If we call in this white border the edge, we can see there that the map cuts off at 2.5 on either side, and on the other side it's about 17 or 17.5. So we can rest assured, fairly confident that this is a 15 by 15 map. And with all of that said and done, well, let's get rid of the ruler, ta-da, and with that we'll continue. Some people are saying, I just want to know what time it is. I don't want to know how to go and build a clock. For those people, I do apologise. I am a bit of a sucker for telling people how to build a clock when they ask me what time it is. Because some people will like us for that. Others will hate it. And so, looks like here, Fong being by far well aggressive there, going past the 50-way mark. Trying to go do the little run round here on Claude. And same thing over here. Hannibal versus Moresco. Hannibal pushes in deep. Problem is, despite getting a factory online, look at this. Hannibal on a 20 by 20 map, inside 5 minutes, gets a factory online, technically beyond the 50-way mark. That is very impressive. Of course, it's not going to last too long, especially when you're in a 2v1 situation. Look at the cheek here. He has a solitary engineer there that's trying to cause bother. May or may not get himself a radar online, but whether it does or it doesn't, it's going to be a little of a moot point, seeing as We've got Moresco with 3 land factories spitting out units, including artillery. And so the radar may be coming online just long enough to realize that the situation is not good. So there's what he sees. Short bit of intel. Crucially, before the radar dies there, if he'd have been paying attention, will have spotted there the naval yard from his opponent. Of course, no air scouts having gone past yet. Results in a blank map from Team 1's point of view. Just incidentally, let's have a real quick look. So there we go, Team 2 there in yellow down south. That's what they can see, and the land that they cover, including here, Fong raiding the opposite main base. Bit of advice there from Zapod, telling Claude, get you send some PD down there. And we see here second scout, what looks like for Team 2 going north. The first one's already had a gander. And if we switch points of view real quickly, that's what Team 1 from up top can see. Of course, Fong, the one way out of position. Let's go, go, go. It's the marker, and right now, I don't know where to look. Oh, quite dicey there. ATP 3 pushing his luck, going up against Maxis, who's full health. But really, this has got to be the most interesting part of this game right now. Fong, the 1500 rated, he's bare, is inside Claude's base. He's got, well, he's almost full health, above 90%, but he's got Tech 1 bombers overhead. There are point defense in base, so we can no longer shut down in the base. There is an enemy commander from Fong's point of view. It's Claude. And so, yeah, Fong's got no choice but to back off. Now, if we look here, Claude is trying to get himself a naval yard online. Oh, look at this. Engineer drop here from Claude. Guarantee you those are going to be putting torpedo launchers down. And yes, unfortunately, ATP does get picked off by Maxis there. And then simultaneously, we have another commander going down over here. Hannibal as well, defeated by Dulatha. Apologies, guys, for missing such a thing. 2 commanders going down. Hannibal, the 1400, ATP, the 12. And with that, it's a 5 versus 5. It's like Team 1 here continuing to press a little bit. Build more SAMs, or BMS backing off a little bit. Maxis going for some of the eco. But Fong here finding himself between a rock and a hard place. And I was really expecting torpedo launcher, but no, it's a naval yard. And I don't understand why he's going frigate. I would really have expected a couple of subs here to start chasing Fong down. And there we go. There's the torpedo launcher. Going for sonar system first. Giving them a little idea. Let's have a look. What can the team see? There's your answer. And is this a ground fire? Or is Fong... I don't believe it. Fong's head, like by about a centimetre, is sticking out of the water. Fong now on about 50%. He's got numerous bombers overhead. Now just 6,000 hit points remain. These guys quite evenly matched. Claude 100 or so points ahead. Quick check over in the mid meanwhile. Shallow Kim, the 500, certainly not playing like it. Commander out front and central with units is knocking down on the door. On the base here belonging to Claude and Zapod. Zap, perhaps, I don't know. I'd like to see him get stuck in a little more. He's perhaps playing a little too conservative there, putting a point defense near his factory when he's got 2 commanders here. Certainly got point defense thanks to Claude to drop back to. But now Fong, just 28 hit points left. 2,800 hit points left. He comes out the water, and Claude there splits up his units nice and quick before Fong can overcharge. And at this point, Fong, just 2,000 hit points remain. He's got so many Tech 1 bombers overhead. He's got units up top. 700, 600. More units getting dropped in all the time. Is there a torpedo launcher here? There is. And with it, Fong goes down. 9 minutes, 57 seconds. Very well played there, Claude. And perhaps giving him all the attention in the world at the expense of everybody else. See over here. Moresco continues to push forward, quite unmolested since the destruction there of Hannibal a few moments ago. Moresco buys himself a little bit of time to expand. Dulatha down here. I think actually Dulatha was the one that technically got the kill. We see him there working on a navy. And perhaps with this many engineers around the naval yard, you can expect him to be going Tech 2 right quick. Loxpo down there already with a Tech 3 Air HQ online. Puts an engineer out. But really taking a look here in the mid. Babel under his shield. He's got a bunch of blazes with him. And he's still bare. Usually you'd see a Aeon commander at this stage going for the snipers, certainly with the shields. With that many Tech 2 and flak units here and backup shields, I can almost be sure that Babel will be safe, at least at this stage of the game. Maxis back there is going for the old Tech 2, the Siren, and so that's going to only mean one thing. Cerberus point defense. Another quick look back across the way there. Maresco just picking off enemy units that have been trickled in, and that's going to allow him some reclaim. Speaking of which, I don't think there was too much reclaim on this map. We see here there's a lot of wreckage from around here from the combat activities. Most of the pressure coming from Team 1. Team 2, by extension, going to be the beneficiaries of the reclaim, especially when they've got 2 commanders in the area. And looks here like Team 1 are withdrawing. Maxis, together with Babel, as well as Jalokim there, all 3 commanders pulling back. Maresco as well deciding to pull back, perhaps a little concerned, or reading into it that there may be a cut-off coming from this way. Who knows exactly what his decision was. Couple of blazes here from Babel getting on the run bys. Claude quick with his spam. He's got point defense. Oh, it's going to be close. One of the blazes there gets hung up and goes down. The second one. Oh, it's going to be close, but these Auroras can outrange it. Either that, or the blaze is suffering from a severe lack of intel. Well, it's not lack of intel. It is indeed outranged. There's some masterful micro there from Babel. Keeps one blaze online. Perhaps where's he heading towards? Oh, look at that. Nowhere really. See if it can bag itself. Oh, it is going to go for a little bit of build capacity there. Claude quick with the Tech 1 bombers, and with that the blazes no more. Gets itself a couple of build capacity, nothing else. Quick look back on the other side. BMS decides it's Tech 1 bomber spam time. Shut down Maresco's forward operating base. Of course, Maresco, being Seraphim, can send artillery across the water. And looks like BMS taking a dislike to that as well. Gets himself a couple of UEF point defense on the coastline. And that, together with these Tech 1 bombers, is going to be more than enough to put a stop to that. So thus far, another little run by down here from Babel once again. I think these were the Tech 2 units we saw him escorting his commander with. The commander goes one way, the units go the other. And together with those shield bubbles, the flak. Look how Babel's keeping these together as one real tight knitted unit. The platoon there, belonging to our Aeon friend in Burgundy. Oh, don't let the bombers get at it though for free. Keep it together, man. As soon as I start singing his praises, the NCO IC discipline falls apart. Perhaps he's taken off sick, and the units there do as they like as a consequence. Looks like Zap here is waiting to pick up the pieces, brings spam back of his own. Babel quick to recognise it, sends what's left of his platoon the other way. Perhaps going to cut off this solitary, I think it's a Rhino here. No, beg your pardon, it's a pillar belonging to Jalokim. And the pillar, already heavily damaged, goes down. And so Babel, you know, keep these units moving, can certainly do something with it, providing you keep them together. Together with a couple of flaks under the shield, I'm almost sure they'll be able to shred this air. Assuming, of course, you don't just let it stand there or trickle out one at a time. Well, there's your answer. He trickles it out. Zapod, it's going to make him pay the price. And Zapod now with superior numbers, despite the shield there from Babel. He does rearrange his group, and they can see just how many hit points these shields are absorbing. So perhaps I was a little too quick to commentate there on the outcome of the battle. Well, it's going to be tight. Quick look over here. Got a strap bomb now out from Loxpo. What's he got going for? Looks like Tech 2 mass points. 40 kills thus far. Sorry for missing some of these kills. We can have a quick look here. Mass points missing here, here, here. You can rest assured that's where the strap bomb's been. It's got ASF coverage. We see here BMS rushes himself some SAM sites in his base knows. If we don't have air, the SAM site is going to be the only way to reliably shoot this thing down. 42 kills now. There's another Tech 2 capped off mass point belonging to BMS. Bang! Down that goes. 5 more kills. Ping's still going down. No doubt from Team 1. Say we need something done about this. There's another Tech 2 mass point that's been capped off. Loxpo now 51 kills. This is a 4-star strap bomb. Backs itself for Tech 2 power. And then flies right across. 2 cruisers there belonging to BMS. Cruisers making light work of that with their anti-air capability. The floating SAM site. And looks like some of the ASF here belonging to Loxpo are going to pay a price as well as they back off. At least 2 or 3 more of those going down in the retreat. Maxis recognizes some of these forces are out of range, but the Tech 2 mobile missile launcher there belonging to the Cybran's can, of course, outrange that, and that's forcing Claude to put down TAC missile defense here. He is upgrading his naval yard to Tech 2, and it's 90% done, so he certainly won't want to lose that. And he's going to need more TAC missile defenses online and now. Gets a helping hand over here from the Aeon engineer that's been donated to him. Of course, the Aeon TAC missile defense is arguably the best in game. Quick check back over here. Zulatha, balls of steel, well over halfway. And with a large navy here, we got 2 cruisers as well as a destroyer. Destroyer here, all under Zulatha's control. And it looks like their objective is to take out this little side base there that's been handed to BMS some while ago. Almost wanting to call this a side island. I'm sure I'll slip up at some point. Quick check back in the mid. Moresco here. Going a little Rambo versus superior forces there belonging to Jalokim. Of course, Jalokim, the 500 rated, arguably, not realizing perhaps needs his commander here. See, Babel is trying to fight with these forces. Babel does have Chrono as well as the sniper comp. Chrono not much use versus just a commander. Moresco there being right ballsy. Perhaps Babel might be wise asking for Jalokim to hand these units over, seeing his commanders there. And here we see the Aeon Chrono Dampener. Look at all these units from UEF constantly being made to pause. They get a couple of shots and then pause again. Chrono Dampener basically wipes out half the DPS of the units in totality. But look at this. Zulatha, man. So ballsy. Sets up shop over here. Radar online. Goes for the Cerberus. And Moresco backs up the attack with his artillery. What a beautiful combination. Cerberus fire from the Cybrans. Artillery from the Seraphim. And BMS's side base suddenly finds itself completely collapsing. Engineers get themselves a SAM site online now, trying to go for the Ravager. Thankfully, most of these engineers belonging to BMS are the Sparky, the combat engineers belonging to the UEF. The only engineers in the game capable of shooting. Of course, they are restricted to building structures purely for defense or offensive purposes. Only can't build themselves power gens and so forth. And with that, a very close call. BMS loses almost all of his base, but importantly holds on to a couple of engineers, just enough to put some defensive structures online. And it's certainly enough. Where have we got him? There he is. Zulatha, certainly enough to stop him pushing forward. Do like the Seraphim cruisers back here, as well as the Cybran ones. Destroyers walking across land there, and so this is going to provide a lot of anti-air coverage. Perhaps emboldening Zulatha's attack there. Commander very far forward for 20 minutes. And speaking of 20 minutes, let's take a look at the ecos at this moment in time. Mass income 501 versus 427. And so about a 75 or so thousand mass advantage to Team 2 down there in the south. Moresco going for the nano repair on his commander. He's already got the gun. He's got 42. He's a 2-star. Team 1 comfortably in control of the middle there, at least thus far. BMS now sending some UEF Titans forward. Gets all but one of the Cerberus turrets there that we saw Dulatha put down. Dulatha does have a couple of destroyers on the front line. He's bringing in 3 more. But Dulatha wisely backing off with his commander there. Just being a Tech 2. No other upgrades. I've seen many players who, emboldened by their successes, would have carried on trying to push. No doubt BMS, or together with his team, Team 1 up there, would be waiting to suck him in and then spin him back out. Dulatha at 1300. Not so bad as he doesn't recognize that. We'll check back in a sec over there, but I am just interested to see this massive drop here from Maxis. It's got 4 Aeon Tech 2 transports. They don't have Tech 3, that's the UEF. And one of them makes landfall. 2, 3, they all make landfall. 2 of them right next to a Tech 1 point defense. Arguably not the best spot ever to put a drop down. But either way, they're going to get a lot done. A lot of this is Tech 1, some of it's Tech 2. And Claude's base there. We'll check back just how much damage they're able to pull off in a moment. Still interested over here. What's going on? BMS now sending Percys forward. You can see there the Percys versus these destroyers. And the Percys seem like they're going to win. The Percy trickling through all the time. You can certainly build Percys faster than you can destroyers. And they're cheaper. Claude here dealing with this drop very effectively, and the drop gets surprisingly little done. Backs himself a single Tech 2 mass point, and perhaps they got a little bit of build capacity. Maybe, well, they didn't even get the Tech 2 P-Gen. It's still got 48 hit points left. Unbelievable. Perhaps one of the worst drops after what looked so brilliant. I thought even if just 2 of these make landfall, they're going to cause carnage in the base, but no. All 4 of them land and they hardly got anything done. Shows you what I know. BMS finally deals with the last destroyer there that was getting close. But what concerns me for BMS now is this build-up of Seraphim cruisers. Look at the range on these suckers. Moresco, the lowest rated player on his team. And he's firing in these long-range missiles. And this is going to cause bother for BMS. It's a lot of attack missiles. BMS looks like he's got his dancing shoes on. A couple of destroyers here still straggling in from Dulatha. They suddenly find themselves in range of the Percys here. Percys realise, no, we best back off. We can't shoot these guys underground, undersea. Of course, the destroyers got torpedoes, can shoot at the Percys under the sea. As soon as they make landfall, they both open up on each other a little bit. Perhaps Percy's operating on the very extreme of the range. There goes the first destroyer. Salem there. Gotta be one of my favourite destroyers in the game, if nothing else, because of its ability to walk on land. Does of course make it extremely vulnerable to attacks from the air, but you can't have it all. Even the Cybans can't. Check elsewhere. How are we doing down the mid? Sapod with a solitary Titan there. Perhaps forgets about it. Gets surrounded by spam from Maxis. Tries to back out, but I think it's too little too late. Maxis there showing that a million Tech 1 can still beat 1 Tech 3. At least when it's Cybran. Now, destroyers from Claude. Perhaps impressed. Dulatha, I saw what you did. I like it. I'm going to have myself a bit of that. Plus, having destroyers on land, it's a little bit like the mobile Tech 3 artillery units, except they fire faster, but they move slower. And Claude here with a bunch of Tech 1 air as well. Raining on top of this spam from Maxis. Does have himself a couple of Tech 2 units sprinkled in the mix, but I don't think enough. And even though they are going to get very close to these destroyers, I think they're going to get too much done. Problem is, though, Max is now with a destroyer over there of his own. Quick check back over here. Cruisers, I think, belonging to Dulatha, wisely holding back. The Cybran cruisers, of course, got the direct fire capability. The Seraphim don't. And so these two groups of naval units complement one another quite nice. BMS, perhaps wise to it, keeps thinking to have a go, then backs off. Maybe not. Now 25 minutes. Let's have a little look over on the air count overall. So team totals, if we take a look, 155 versus 37. They're in team 2. Of course, that includes any aircraft, not just ASF. And so at first glance, a huge advantage to team 2 down south. Another quick look at the mass. Well, it looks like team 1's starting to close the gap a little bit as we go. Just over 500,000 there for both teams, perhaps 25,000 or so. In advantage there for team 2 down south, which works out about 5%, that figure cropping up continuously. I don't know why. It just seems to do. But team 1, aside from the little naval action going on over here, do seem to still be in control, certainly in the mid. I love here what Zapod's doing, just trickling a couple of these demolishers forward. The UEF Tech 3 artillery, of course, they are very susceptible to anything else, but they are able to put down long-range shots. I also like he's spaced them out a little bit, so there's no large clusters for the enemy artillery to fire at. And that, I don't know, it's going to be close. Oh, they do break through the shield. In goes the second, in goes the third. May bag itself the shield. Oh, and it does, bags both. And so there you go. Now a fourth artillery piece there on the line, thanks to Zapod. Navy, a little too more too. BMS together with its red friend there, Maxis, the destroyers. And I think there's more favouring now Team 1. And that's going to force Claude, I think, to pull back, think twice, shift gears. So we see their scout from Loxpo taking another look what their team doing. Now we see perhaps tables starting to turn a little bit in the mid here, thanks to Zap and his artillery pieces. Jello Kim perhaps getting... Well, you know, they only need to be online for a few seconds and they pay for themselves. And so, you know, I may laugh, but the 500 knows what he's doing. I think there just 10 hit points remain on the mass extractor, but I think it's paid for itself. Could argue the attention paid to giving the order might not be worth it, but, you know, that's a personal choice. Depends how many APMs you've got, right? Once again, just wondering here, I think the order of business from BMS is keep units moving, keep the missile ships aiming at those moving units, and that's one less missile that's aimed at the main base. And so far, it seems to be working well for him. And as we get to minute 28, 36 seconds, BMS, the first guy to get himself an experimental, at least that's been reported that yours truly has spotted. And with him being UEF, it is. It's the old fat boy. Makes its way forward with the mobile shields like a massive tank. Got air repair capability. Can, of course, manufacture its own units, providing it's not moving if you stand it still. So if you do suddenly find yourself a fat boy surrounded by enemy gunships and you've got no air, or the air player and your team's asleep, if it's going to die anyway, you may as well stop and try and produce flak units out of it. And, you know, whether those flak units can be made quick enough is another matter. But something is certainly better than a lot of nothing. Dulatha here with a couple of these Salem destroyers pushing forward. Jello Kid, no, look at this. A huge number of Percys. Well, providing he keeps this moving, these will be able to put a stop to these destroyers. Cruisers over here belonging to Moresco. The 1100 continuously pounding BMS's base and any units that try and stray forward. There you can see where the missiles are going for. And that, I think, together with the units that BMS was juggling about, has bought him just enough time to put some TAC missile defense on. Just have Tech 3 capped off, mass extractors in base. If at all possible, he will not want to lose those. See, perhaps these destroyers here belonging to Dulatha get a little close. And Jalokim, the 500, picks them off. Percy's there, escorting and flanking the Fat Boy from BMS. The Fat Boy then, as it strolls beyond the 50-way mark, starts laying down fire on Team 2. The two blue players down together there. Loxpole together with Moresco. Their main base looks like could be first on the menu. Speaking of Moresco, oh my goodness, man. Forget the fatty. What's going on over here? Moresco perhaps using the support there provided by his cruisers long range. What is he? Well, oh my goodness. This is as Rambo as it gets. The Seraphim. He's got the gun. He's got the damage amplifier. And he's got nano repair. He's a 4-star. He's got one lot of vet to go. 46,900 hit points. And well north of 200 hit points per second repair. And he's going up against Ravagers. BMS recognizes the threat. He's got Ravagers and Tech 2-point defense waiting. He's got shields. Oh my goodness. Moresco, man. Credit to you, but have you bit off more than you could chew? Multiple Ravagers and Tech 2-point defense. But he's got so many hit points. Look at the damage his gun is causing. You said Ravager, you said Tech 2-point defense. Have a bit of that. The Tech 2-point defense there going down. Down goes the first Ravager and all. 3 Ravagers remain. Moresco about half health. Moresco, if you've got your dancing shoes on, some of that Ravager fire. Dance, man, dance. That's it. Think of it as a TikTok video. You're nursing a unit. It's overfilled. Dance. Oh. I've already used that silly joke, and 10,000 hit points. Get himself into the drink. Now is a 5-star. Gets himself 250 hit points per second. Back on that sucker. We'll check back in a moment to see what Claude here is doing over on the west side. Nice little attack there from Maxis with a bunch of bricks. Surprised he doesn't stick around to finish off that base. Especially with Claude and his Omni sensor. Claude perhaps with a run by here. Maybe this is why Bricks pulled back to try and cut off some of this stuff in the back. GC belonging to Claude. And that's trending way north. Problem is, Team 1 here, well in control of the Navy. The Navy is very good at defending against experimentals. BMS there brings his destroyers in. We've got the Torrent class. GC there belonging to Claude. Oh, it's still pretty good health. Max is desperately trying to get some point defense down. It's too little too late. But it does cause the laser eye there belonging to GC. Or perhaps I should call him Cyclops Eye. Either way, redirects its fire just temporarily. Leaves the ion reactor online. Reasons unknown. Laser turns off as it decides what to shoot at next. What's this? Oh my goodness. Babel with 1,000,000 mercies. GC goes down below half health. Does then turn around. Picks off the fusion reactor. More mercies firing in. More Navy. Gunships there from BMS. How much more does the Colossus get to do? I don't know. Gets a 3rd rank of vet though. And what are these? Babel brings in a bunch of Tech 2 destroyers. Does have some units on board. Not quite clear what he wants to do with those. Mercies swing back round. Go on then. Now or never, Mr. Mercy. There they go. And with it, GC 61 kills. Is it going to get any more? 400 hit points, 300, 100. Bang, goes down. BMS there technically backing himself the kill with one of those T2 gunships with that nice mass gift there. Delivered to Tech 1, granted, did cause quite a bit of destruction there in Maxis' main base. Team 1 holding on to Navy, and Maresco here. What's he done? Well, he's already back over half health. Looks like he did attend back up top, finishes off the last Ravager. BMS manages to get a couple of those Tech 2 point defense back online, with Jello Kim sending across. Some Percy's of his own, that's enough to make Maresco back off. Again, an 1100 rated. Could have very easily been emboldened by this and carried on pushing, carried on being greedy, but no, plays it safe. He's done a good job, backs off. And what's this? UFO now, belonging to Loxpo. The old donut there down south. Jello Kim tries to push once more over here. It's not quite clear what happened to the fat boy. Did it go down? Looks like it did. There it is. BMS, though, has a second up front. Love here what Maresco's doing. Stronger units up front. Lower health, lower armored units, but with the Ranger back. And that is going to put down fire continuously in the mid. And at some point, that's going to force the middle players either to attack or defend. Interestingly enough, as we get around 36 minutes, BMS, the highest rated player in the game, is still alive. And so far, despite the second base, I don't think has been able to arguably a third base. Thanks to the pressure over here, in no small part from Maresco, as well as Dulatha, has not been able to really exploit the advantage on Eco. He's had to put an awful lot of that into defending a side island that then he went and lost. And now he's going to eat a nuke. BMS's starting position there goes up 36 minutes 40. Although, with a fat boy in front, lots of shielding, defensive units of his own, and he's starting to spam factories. A lot of anti-air capabilities there in the mid. Yes, looks like his team Babel there starting to produce more ASF. It's a nice little diversionary attack over here from Maresco. Large Corsair snipe over there from Dulatha, going for the fat boy. In one shot, they take out all of the shields, including those belonging to the fat boy, and find themselves shredded by all the anti-air there that's put down in the mid. Do not get a second pass. Where the Loxpo, if you're going to go for it, now's the time. Both using Tech 2 and Tech 3 gunships there from the Aeon. Oh, Maresco, man. Balls of steel. Reclaims a tree in the heat of the battle. Yes. He must have been very desperate for that little piece of energy. Either that, or it was a misclick. Once again here, Dulatha pushing forward with these destroyers. Trying to finish off what BMS has. Do send your cruisers with them, though. These are so vulnerable to the air. Here we see why. Babel now bringing Mercies forward, but the destroyers have just got enough anti-air to deal with the Mercies. Of course, the Mercies die at almost anything that touches them. Back over here, Claude going up against the superior Navy using Restorers. That works fine, unless the other guy throws too many cruisers forward. The Aeon cruisers, perhaps one of the best at dealing with air, together with the Seraphim. It's like Claude agrees. I know. I've already brought it back. It's time Zap's turn to push forward with a fat boy together with GC there belonging to Claude. Claude's GC starting to retreat a bit versus all of these units there from Jello Kim. Fatty providing covering fire, helping to facilitate the retreat there. And that works nicely. Jello Kim with a nice Ravager there on the line. It's just one. Together with these SAM sites and all these Percies, that is going to give the other team something to think about. But over here, this is what I was fearing. All these gunships tearing these destroyers there that have got no defense from Dulatha. Granted, there is a fat boy over here from BMS. And once the fat boy gets in range of all those destroyers, especially when they're all parked together, each one of these rolling artillery barrages, it's going to cause multiple hit points to shed from multiple destroyers altogether. Nice cover there from BMS. And at this point, Dulatha, probably time and wise to turn around. And looks like the captain of this particular flotilla agrees, backs off. Large Corsair snipe now there from Delatha. No doubt going for the fatty. Oh, he goes for the Tech 3 mass point instead. Backs himself the Tech 3 mass point. A well-placed SAM site that survived in the back of BMS's base from before. It's going to start shredding some of these. 5 kills. 6, 7. Every barrage of missiles seems to bag itself too. And then Babel there. Quick off the mark. Deals with any of the other Corsairs. And with it, I think to lose a Tech 3 mass point there. And that is all. BMS will be happy with that, considering how many Corsairs were in that mission. 2 fat boys now from BMS in the line. Zapod gets a little close with his Titans. Perhaps does the worst thing, which is back off from a fat boy. That's going to allow the fat boy to back off as well and just get shots out for free. Perhaps Zapod backing off due to these purses. And another GC now from Team 1 rolls forward. Sorry, from Team 2. Yellow there, of course. Makes its way towards Maxis's main base, who again is trying to get another Megalith online. And looks like maybe about to lose it. GC with about 1/3 of its hit points shed thus far. Large Navy here from Maxis. Again, continually pounding in long-range shots. They will eventually get it, but how long is it going to take? 55,000 hit points left on the GC. Babel chucking forward mercies like no tomorrow. GC less than 25%. Got BMS with a bunch of gunships on it as well. Cyclops, it's not going to get it. Cyclops goes down. And with that, there's a nice chunk of mass right next to this construction here from Maxis. He'll be able to suck that wreck off and fund his Megalith with it in large part. Meanwhile, Team 1 looking very strong now in the mid. 3 fat boys. And Maresco eating the fire from them all. I don't care. Maresco, I've got 50,000 hit points. But at some point, 3 fat boys will chew their way through 50,000 hit points. Even if you are getting 250 hit points back on your chassis per sec. Large air over here from Loxpo together with his UFO. The Donut goes for the Torrent class missile ships there belonging to BMS. Gets at least one of them. Now makes its way forward. There's a lot of SAM sites here from Maxis. Maxis, you're going to want to split your navy up a little bit so that the UFO has got to make a choice. If you move them all together, it makes the UFO's job very easy. And there's 3 of them. Oh my goodness, Loxpo gets 3 donuts. Here's a 4th. Perhaps you're going to want to redirect some of them over here. One of the donuts gets shot down. A large number of air there from Babel in the nick of time. Loxpo, though, with a bunch of ASF of his own. I think with that, air just got handed over to the southern team. In no small part due to the SAMs that these donuts are able to put out. 3 of them there. One of the fat boys, 2 of the fat boys goes down. Belonging to Team 1. They've still got 2. There's a bunch of restorers here, but with a lot of flak and anti-air capability from Team 1 in the mid. That's by no means a certainty. Sapod rolling his fat boy forward as well. Also has it a lot of shielded and escorting units, and Jellokim, the 500 backing off as well, realizing we need to retreat. And Claude spitting out Tech 1 bombers like no tomorrow. He's seen other players do this before. He decided long ago, yep, if ever I'm faced with such a similar situation, I'll spam bombers out again. And here we see just how effective the Tech 1 bomber spam can be. Again, this was something rarely seen in my day, but oh my goodness, no! Babel's main base! Sod the Tech 1 bombers, somebody's screaming. Babel's base gets 2 of the UFOs shot down. There was a 3rd over here. And now it's a one-on-one duel. UFO versus UFO. Both of them are heavily damaged. Both of them have got anti-air capability. Both of them have lost a shield. And they're going over BMS's side base. Somebody get a SAM online over here. It's going to be so close. So close. UFO over here gets itself a rank of vet from Loxpo. I'm aware that there's a chicken. Oh, the UFO from Babel there goes down. And that leaves this one alive, but finds itself eating a bunch of Samfire from the Navy there from Maxis. A UFO collapses and almost takes out the Naval HQ there belonging to BMS, but not quite. And with that, despite the damage there, a bunch of donuts for Team 1 to enjoy. Hoover up mass-wise. Let's have a little look there. 36,000 apiece, and there's 4 of them. Did, however, lose a large percentage of their base. Take a quick look now as we get minute 45. It's still a 5 versus 4 favouring Team 2. Has been that way for a long time. Team 2 with 2.2 million. Team 1 with 1.9. So the 5% lead suddenly finds itself turning into a 10% lead. Team 1, however, remain themselves in control of the mid there. Still got 2 fatties on the line. A third one from BMS moving in to back that up. Of course, despite losing the majority of 2 bases over here, with all of that mass, looks like Zapod there determined not to allow him a moment of pause to deal with it, to recover. Bunch of Titans shielded up there, dealing with some of the mass structures belonging to Maxis. BMS redirecting his fat boys over there, trying to plug that gap, perhaps recognizing this is a weak spot. We need to put a big steel door in front of that opening. Claude here. A lot of Tech 2 units escorting the GC are going to go down, thanks to multiple fat boys firing in. And the Navy here from Maxis is going to be able to put a run by, or put to bed that run by as well. Maxis, who's been able, together with his friend there up top, BMS, hold the line. Numerous run-bys have come through his base, but none of them have been able to inflict the final blow. A couple of Titans here from Zapod perhaps have been forgotten about. Oh, and now a nuke from Team 2, recognizing, you know what, there's no way he could have put an anti-nuke online in that base in that time. And Babel, well, he's walking right towards where the nuke's going in. He's trying to re-establish his air grid. It's a beautiful read. I'm not sure how much of that was planned, intentional, luck. Only Loxpo will ever know. And Babel finds himself running headlong into a nuke. Babel quickly donates the mass, realizes it's all over. Look at that, all the mass there donated. Minute 47. It's a 5 versus 3. Now a chicken butt from Moresco over here. Finds itself emboldened by these 3 destroyers from Dulatha. And suddenly it's starting to feel like Team 1, despite holding the mid for most of the game, despite the advantages they've had both in score and, of course, having the pro player, the problem player, starting to unravel a little bit at the sides. In no small part, Moresco, together with Dulatha, have really been able to make Team 1 pay on this eastern flank. Western flank's been fairly even, plenty of to-ing and fro-ing, but the mid, it's got to be said, has favoured Team 1 all game, and it's by no means over. We've got 4 Fat Boys versus 2 favouring Team 1. We've also got the Percy's here favouring Team 1. Some of the Fat Boy fire there going down. The chicken over here getting into the back of BMS's side base. He's forced to roll a Fat Boy back to deal with. Unfortunately, the chicken is not too far away from a strategic missile defense. If it takes that off, there's 4 missiles in the clip. And that suddenly makes BMS's main base very vulnerable. There's enough Navy here to force Claude to think twice about continuing these attacks. Very nice play there from Zabot, able to keep both of those fat boys online in a 4v2 situation. I don't believe it. BMS starts to recognize game is over. Throws in the towel. Maximus takes control of everything. And suddenly it's a 5 versus 2. An 1100 and a 500 versus a team that's looked very strong for the majority of this game. And despite it being very close and very even for some of it, very quickly at the end, things starting to collapse. Jalokam sees the writings on the wall, backs off, and with that, it's a 5 versus 1. Maxis controls everything. Is he going to continue to fight? Is he going to see the writings on the wall? Well, it's got to be disheartening when you see this many Seraphim artillery pieces roaming in the back of your base. The chicken ear causing untold destruction. It's a 5-star. Sure, the fact he will be able to deal with. But Maxis says, that's it. I've had enough. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, replay is over. I hope you enjoyed that one. And until next time, wherever in the world you may be, take care. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night from me here in the UK. Hope you enjoyed that one. Take care. Bye-bye. See ya.